Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6. We want to present about our materials that are about mixed methods design, research and development, and action research design. The members of our group are Lia Alfiana, Innadien Nurahya Hasanah, and Alifah Kanza W. First topic is mixed method design. First, we have a short story about mixed method research. Maria chooses to collect both quantitative and qualitative data. She decides to conduct a survey and then use follow-up interviews with a few students to explain the results of the survey. She views this research in the two phases. For the first, quantitative phase, her research question is, what factors influence student attitudes toward weapon possession? Later, in the follow-up qualitative phase, her question is, when students mention peers as a factor influencing student attitudes, what do they mean? In this study, Maria collects quantitative survey data and then follows up with qualitative interview data to help explain the initial quantitative results. Maria conducts a study using mixed method research. So, after we know the short story of mixed methods research, and then we are going to know deeply about what is the mixed method research? Mixed methods research design is a procedure for collecting, analyzing, and mixing both quantitative and qualitative methods in a single study or a series of studies to understand a research problem. And we have to pay attention in the mixed methods research. You need to understand both quantitative and qualitative research. Mixed methods research is not simply collecting two distinct strands of qualitative and quantitative research. It consists of merging, integrating, linking, or embedding the two strands. In short, the data are mixed in mixed method study. And the next, when do you conduct a mixed method study? In general, you conduct a mixed method study when you have both quantitative and qualitative data and both types of data together. Provide a better understanding of your research problem than either type by itself. Mixed methods research is a good design to use if you seek to build on the strengths of both quantitative and qualitative data. In the quantitative research, such as scores on instruments, yield specific numbers that can be statistically analyzed, can produce results to assess the frequency and magnitude of trends, and can provide useful information if you need to describe trends about a large number of people. In qualitative research, such as open-ended interviews that provide actual words of people in the study, offer many different perspectives on the study topic and provide a complex picture of the situation. You also conduct a mixed method study when one type of research is not enough to address the research problem or answer the research questions, and if you want to provide an alternative perspective in a study. The next, if we want to identify a mixed method study reported in the published literature, we have some questions. First is there evidence in the title? We have to look at the title to determine if it includes words such as quantitative and qualitative, mixed methods, or other related terms to signify the collection of both quantitative and qualitative data. Related terms might be integrated, combined, triangulation, multi-method, or mixed methodology. The second is there evidence in the data collection section? We have examine the methods or procedure section where the author addresses data collection and identify if researchers discuss forms of quantitative data and qualitative data as part of the data collection. And the last, is there evidence in the purpose statement or the research questions? Here, we have to examine the abstract or the introduction of the study to identify the purpose of research question. Do these statements indicate that the researcher intends to collect both quantitative and qualitative data during the study? And the next, if we want to determine the type of mixed methods design, we have some questions below. First, what priority or weight does the researcher give to the quantitative and qualitative data collection? Here we have to priority or weight means that one form of data is given more attention or emphasized in the study. However, quantitative and qualitative data are sometimes treated equally. Second, what is the sequence of collecting the quantitative and qualitative data? Determine whether the qualitative data comes first and second in the data or vice versa. And the third is, how does the researcher actually analyze the data? Here we have to determine if the researcher combine the data in one analysis or keep the analysis separate. And the last, where in the study does the researcher mix the data? The two forms of data might be combined, linked, or mixed during data collection, between data collection and data analysis, during data analysis, or in the interpretation of a study. And the next is types of mixed methods designs. We have 6 types that are: first, convergent parallel design, explanatory sequential design, exploratory sequential design, embedded design, transformative design, and the last is multiphase design. The first is convergent parallel design. The purpose of a convergent mixed method design is to simultaneously collect both quantitative and qualitative data, merge the data, and use the results to understand a research problem. As you can see in the diagram, we analyze and collect quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously, and then we compare or relate the results, and then we interpret the results. And the strength of this design is that it combines the advantage of each form of data, that is quantitative data provide for generalizability, whereas qualitative data offer information about the context or setting. The design enables a researcher to gather information that uses the best features of both quantitative and qualitative data collection. But the difficulty in this design is how to merge the two forms of data, and when this is done, to determine how to assess results that diverge. The next design is explanatory sequential design. This design consists of first collecting quantitative data and then collecting qualitative data to help explain or elaborate on the quantitative results. As you can see in the diagram, the first researcher do collect and analyze the quantitative data and then follow up with qualitative data collection and analysis, and then the last is interpret the result. The advantage of this design is clearly identified quantitative and qualitative parts, an advantage for readers as well as for those designing and conducting the study. Unlike the convergent design, the researcher doesn't have to converge or integrate two different forms of data. But the difficulty in using this design is the researcher needs to determine what aspect of the quantitative results to follow up on. This follow-up means deciding on the participants to sample in the second qualitative phase as well as the questions to ask in this follow-up phase that builds on the initial quantitative phase. Also, this design is labor-intensive and it requires both expertise and time to collect both quantitative and qualitative data. Next is exploratory sequential mixed method design. Opposite with explanatory sequential design, in this method design involves the procedure of first gathering qualitative data to explore a phenomenon and then collecting quantitative data to explain relationships found in the qualitative data. The advantage of this approach is allows the researcher to identify measures actually grounded in the data obtained from study participants. But the disadvantage of requiring extensive data collection as well as the time required for this process is long. The next is embedded design. The purpose of this design is to collect quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously, but to have one form of data play a supportive role to the other form of data. The reason for collecting the second form of data is that it augments the primary form of data. The supportive data may be either qualitative or quantitative, but most examples in the literature support adding qualitative data into a quantitative design. The strength of this design is combine the advantage of both quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative data are more effective at reporting outcomes of the experiment than identifying through qualitative data how individuals are experiencing the process. So in here, the researcher collect both quantitative and qualitative data during a single study, such as experiment or correlational study. And then the two datasets are analyzed separately and then address different research questions. Next is transformative design. The intent of this design is to use one of the four designs, maybe convergent, explanatory, exploratory, or embedded, but to encase the design within a transformative framework or lens. The strength of this design is that it is value-based and ideological. The last design is multiphase design. In here, researchers or a team of researchers examine a problem or topic through a series of phases or separate studies. As you can see in the diagram, for the first phase is qualitative research, and then it used to the next study, that is qualitative research, and both of the study is used to inform in the mixed method study or the last study. In here, the strength of this design lies in the use of multiple projects to best understand an overall program objective. Key characteristics of mixed method design. Here we have 6 key characteristics of mixed method design. First is provide a rationale for the design. Here, the readers and those who review mixed method studies need to know why you are mixing methods. And the second is include collecting quantitative and qualitative data. The method of data collection are typically associated with either numbers or numeric data and words or text and image data. Mixed methods researchers collect both quantitative and qualitative data. The third key characteristic is consider priority. Priority here means that in a mixed method design, the researcher places more emphasis on one type of data than on other types of data in the research and the written report. The 3 options are available to the researcher for prioritizing data. First, quantitative data and qualitative data are of equal weight. Second, quantitative data is greater weight than qualitative data. And the last, qualitative data is of greater weight than quantitative data. And the fourth, characteristics is considered sequence. Mixed method researchers advance the sequence of data collection using concurrent or sequential approaches, or some combination. First, collect both quantitative and qualitative data at the same time. Second, collect quantitative data first, followed by qualitative data, and vice versa. And the last is collect both quantitative and qualitative at the same time as well as in sequence. The fifth key characteristic is match the data analysis to a design. To examine option for data analysis, reflect back on the type of design, and we want to explain it after this. The last key characteristic is diagram the procedure. Mostly mixed methods, researchers often provide a visualization or diagram of their design depicting the procedures. Maybe it can be using rows or plus signs to indicating the sequence of activities, or using lowercase or uppercase letter to emphasizing the priority. According to fifth characteristics of mixed method design, that is match data analysis to a design, we want to explain one by one the data analysis in each design. The first is convergent design analysis. The standard approach seems to converge or compare in some way quantitative data and qualitative data. One way is to provide a discussion in a side-by-side analysis about the themes emerging from the data and how they support or refute the statistical analysis. Another approach is to combine the qualitative and quantitative data to arrive at new variables or new themes for further testing. And the final approach is to directly compare the quantitative results and the qualitative findings in a table, a joint display. The next is explanatory design. A popular approach is to collect quantitative data and look for extreme cases to follow up in a qualitative puzzle. Alternatively, within an explanatory design, the researcher might seek to explain the results in more depth in a qualitative puzzle of the study. Less frequently seen within the explanatory design is topology development through quantitative data collection and the use of this typology as a framework for identifying themes in qualitative database. Next is exploratory design analysis. In this design, the substantial qualitative data collection becomes a means for developing or locating quantitative instruments, forming categorical information for later quantitative data collection, or developing generalization from a few initial qualitative cases. Perhaps the most popular use is to generate an instrument well grounded in the qualitative data from participants in a study. And the next is embedded design analysis. In the embedded design analysis, the analysis of the quantitative and qualitative data are kept separate because the two datasets often reflect different questions. Thus, in an experiment, the outcome analysis is conducted for the quantitative data and the process qualitative data is analyzed for them. After we have a basic understanding about mixed method study, now we want to learn about what is steps in conducting a mixed method study. There are 7 steps. The first is determine if a mixed method study is feasible. The first step in the process is to assess the feasibility of using the design. You need 2 skills in gathering both quantitative and qualitative data: time to collect extensive information and a working knowledge of the different types of designs. The next step is identify a rationale for mixing methods. In here, you need to consider why you are collecting both quantitative and qualitative data. The rationale for the 4 designs should provide a good starting point. Be explicit in the rationale and include it early in your research plan or report. The third step is identify a data collection strategy. Here, you need to know the priority you will give to quantitative and qualitative data, the sequence of your data collection if you don't plan to collect the data concurrently, and the specific forms of quantitative data and qualitative data you will collect. The fourth step is develop quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods question. It depends on the type of your design. And you develop research question, and then you identify this question prior to a study, or they may emerge during the study. For instance, in a two-phase design, the questions for your second phase cannot be specifically identified early in the study. They will emerge as the study progresses. Fifth step is collect quantitative and qualitative data. Collecting data in a mixed method study follows rigorous quantitative procedures and persuasive qualitative procedures. Statistical programs and text analysis programs can provide useful systems for storing, managing, and recording the data. And the sixth step, analyze data separately, concurrently, or both. The data analysis will also relate to the specific type of mixed method design you are using. You can analyze quantitative data separately from qualitative data as in the explanatory and exploratory designs, or integrate the data analysis as in the convergent design. And the final step in a mixed method study is to write a scholarly report of the project. Some variations are seen in the writing structure of mixed method studies as outlined here. First, the report is written in two phases. The report contains one section to specify the problem and the literature. Then the sections of data collection, analysis, and interpretation, two phases, are used for each section. The second is the report integrates the quantitative and qualitative phases of the study in each section. The problem statement, for example, contains a need to explore in qualitative and to predict or explain outcomes in quantitative. Next is evaluate a mixed method study. As a form of qualitative and quantitative research, mixed method research needs to be consistent criteria for a good qualitative and quantitative study. In addition, there are specific aspects that people reading, evaluating, and conducting a study might consider. In a high-quality mixed method study, the researcher first describe that mixed method is the best approach. The second incorporates both qualitative and quantitative data collection and analysis. Third, explicitly combines two data sets. Fourth, uses rigorous quantitative and persuasive qualitative procedures of data collection and analysis. Next, frames the study within one of the mixed method research design, provides a diagram of the procedures to clarify the timing, priority, and mixing within the study, and last, signals to the reader that the study is using mixed method.
And the next is action research. What is action research? Action research design are systematic procedures done by teachers to gather information about and subsequently improve the ways their particular educational setting operates, their teaching, and their student learning. Educators aim to improve the practice of education by studying in issues or problems they face. Educators reflect about these problems, collect and analyze data, and implement changes based on their findings. When do you use action research? You use action research when you have a specific educational problem to solve. Action research provides an opportunity for educators to reflect on their own practices. Within the scope of a school, action research offers a means for staff development, for teachers' development as professionals, and for addressing school-wide problems. In fact, the scope of action research provides a means for teachers or educators in the schools to improve their practice of taking action and to do so by participating in research. How did action research develop? Three stages mark the development of action research. First is consists of the identification of a process for addressing societal issues. The second stage turned toward practice and the need to involve practitioners such as teachers in the solution to their own problems. The third and most recent phase represented the participatory, emancipatory, or community action research approach in which groups assume responsibility for their own emancipation and change. How did action research develop? Action research encourage change in the school, foster a democratic approach to education, empower individuals through collaboration or projects, positions teachers and other educators as learners who seek to narrow the gap between practice and their vision of education, encourage educators to reflect on their practices, promotes a process of testing new ideas. There are two types of action research. First is practical action research and the second is participatory action research. Practical action research involves a small-scale research project that only focuses on a specific problem or issue and is undertaken by individual teachers or teams within a school or school district. Example of practical action research studies include an elementary teacher studies the disruptive behavior of a child in her classroom. A team composed of students, teachers, and parents studies the result of implementing a new math program in the junior high school. A community college instructor studies his professional development using technology in teaching. The following principles focus on assumptions about the role of the teachers as learners, as reflective practitioners, and as individuals engaging in a small-scale research project. Teachers have decision-making authority to study an educational practice as part of their own ongoing professional development. Teachers are committed to continue professional development and school improvement. A core assumption for any teacher who decides to engage in action research. Teachers want to reflect on their practice. Teachers use a systematic approach for reflecting on their practice. And the last is teacher will choose an area of focus, determine data collection, technically analyze and interpret data, and develop action plan. This is a dialectic action research spiral by Niels. In this produce, the research identifies an area of focus. This process involves defining this area, doing self-reflection and description, reviewing the literature, and writing an action research plan to guide the researcher. And the next is collect data. The research collect data by gathering multiple sources of data, quantitative and qualitative, and by using a variety of inquiry tools such as interviews, questionnaires, or attitude scales. And the next is analyze and interpret data. The action research follows this path with analysis and interpretation. The process includes identifying themes, coding surveys, interviews, and questionnaires, asking key question, doing an organizational review, engaging in concept mapping, analyzing antecedents and consequences, and displaying findings. And the last is develop an action plan. In final stage, the researcher finally completes an action plan. This plan includes a summary of findings, recommended action, and the identification of individuals responsible for action and those who need to be consulted and informed. And the second is participatory action research. Participatory action research involves a social and community orientation and an emphasis on research that contributes to emancipation or change in our society and improve the quality of people's organization, communities, and family life. Example of participatory action research studies include tests that label and stereotype students, texts that omit important historical persons or events of cultural and ethnic groups, assessment that serve to confirm student value rather than learning, K-12 classroom interaction that silence or quiet the voice of minority students. Chemist and math teacher summarize 6 central features of participatory action research. Part is a social process in which the researcher deliberately explores the relationship between the individual and other people. This form of inquiry is participatory. This form of research is practical and collaborative. Part is emancipatory in that it helps untackle people from the constraint of irrational and unjust structures that limit self-development and self-determination. Part is critical in that it aims to help people recover and release themselves from the constraint embedded in social media, their language, their modes of work, their social relationship of power. Part is reflexive and focused on bringing about change in practice. This is the Stringer's action research interacting spiral. This model contains 3 phrases: look, think, and act. The spiral of this model conveys that action research is not neat, orderly, and linear, but is a process of repeating and revising procedure and interpretation. Steps in Stringer's action research model. First is look, building the picture. Purpose: to assist stakeholding groups in building a picture. Process: first is gather information, then record information, and the next is extend understanding, organizing meetings and communicating. And 14 is interpreting and analyzing. Purpose: to distill the information gathered, identify elements of people's experience, and enable the participant to understand the way the issue affects their life and activities. Process: framework, categorizing and coding, analyzing key experience, enriching analyzing using frameworks, writing reports collaboratively, presentation and performance. And the last is act. Act is resolving problems. Purpose: to plan and implement practical solution to problems. Process: here is planning, implementing, reviewing, and evaluating. There are 6 characteristics of action research. First is practical focus. These issues may be a concern of a single teacher in a classroom or a problem involving many educators in a building. It may be a school community issue, an issue with a school policy or structure that constrain individual freedom and action, or a concern of individuals in towns and cities. And And the second is the teacher or researcher's own practice. Action research engage in participatory or self-reflective research, in which they turn the lens on their own educational classroom, school, or practice. As they study their own situation, they reflect on what they have learned, a form of self-development, as well as what they can do to improve their educational practice. And the third is collaboration. Active research collaborates with others, often involving co-participants in the research. These co-participants may be individuals within a school or outside personnel such as university researchers or professional association groups. It involves establishing acceptable and cooperative relationship, communicating in a manner that is coherent and appropriate, and including all individuals, groups, and issues. And the fourth is a dynamic process. Active research, action research engage in a dynamic process involving iteration of activities such as a spiral of activities. The key idea is that the research spirals back and forth between reflection upon the problem, data collection, and action. And the next is a plan of action. The next step is to identify a plan of action. At some point in the process, the action research formulates an action plan in response to the problem. It may be a formal written plan or an informal discussion about how to proceed, and it may engage a few individuals, such as students in a group, or involve an entire community in a participatory research study. And the last is sharing research. Action researchers often engage in sharing reports with local school, community, and educational personnel. Action research share results with teachers, the building principal, school district personnel, and parent association. The steps in conducting action research study. First, determine if action research is the best design to use. The second, identify a problem to study. Third, locate resources to help address the problem. And the fourth is identify information you will need. And the fifth is implement the data collection. And the sixth is analyze the data. And the seventh, develop a plan for action. And the last is implement the plan and report. How the authors evaluate an action research study. In a high-quality action research study, the author focuses on an issue in practice or an issue in the local community, collects multiple sources of data to help address the problem, collaborates with others during the study to find the best solution, show respect for all collaborators so they are equal partners in the action research process, advance a plan of action for trying to solve the problem, reflects on his or her own development as professional, helps to enhance the lives of participants by solving a problem, empowering them, changing them, or providing them with new understanding. And the last is develop a plan recommendations to practice. And the next is report the research in a way that that is understandable and useful to audience, including other professionals. That's all from us. Thank you.